Hello, everybody. I hope you are well. Today, I will be discussing the British rule in India. You see, the Europeans regarded India as this very rich nation in terms of cotton, spices, silk, as well as indigo. And these items were in high demand back in Europe. Therefore, it wasn't really surprising when the EIC, also known as the East India Company, got a charter signed by Queen Elizabeth I, granting them a monopoly in trade within India. What this meant was that the EIC would be the only English company to be trading in India. Of course, the government did not actively intervene in the company's affairs initially. However, a small fee of 10% of EIC's profit was to be paid back to the British government in England. Then, in Surat, in the year 1608, arrives the EIC, and after getting permission to trade from the governor of Gujarat, Shah Jahan, to be second last great Mughal emperor, the company began its trade in 1612. Okay, now on to the competition in trade. Of course, the EIC was the only English company trading within India. However, there were other European nations who had also sent representative companies to do the very same. Those included the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Danish, and later the French. And when there was a higher demand and a finite supply of the goods all these companies required, naturally the demand supply economics played in the favor of the Indian merchants who had these goods to sell to the European companies. And so these Indian merchants increased the prices of their goods, leading to profit loss for the companies. Hence, the EIC, including all the other European companies, thought that the only way of increasing their profit was by eliminating the other European nations. In other words, their competition. So they sank each other's ships, they blocked each other's trade routes, and they fortified their own trading posts to protect themselves against the other companies. Of course, when a company establishes trading posts in a foreign land and then fortifies them, it gives the company a sense of belonging in that area and an ownership towards the trading posts that they have established, despite the area being under a foreign ruler's control. So was the case with the EIC, and it didn't really stop there. After they established some small trading posts around the coast, they also made headquarters in 1664 within Bombay, and then in 1690 they established another trading post within Calcutta. Many merchants, Indians of course, were encouraged to settle near their factories, one of the first of them being Hooghly, which was set up by the British. And it wasn't surprising that eventually, when the profits started to gradually increase and the British found themselves secure with trading posts and very efficient trade with the merchants settled nearby their factories, they soon had enough money to protect themselves and their posts with an army. This protection extended from Bombay to Calcutta and Madras, three of the main British settlements, also known as their presidencies. Now, when you have settled in a foreign area and you have fortified that area and you really know of it as your own, there would be problems with the locals, who are, in fact, the actual owners of the land you have made the trading post on. And much to the dismay of the locals, the EIC continued to fortify and establish forts around the coast. And when in 1686 the company went to war with Aurangzeb in their failed attempt to fortify Chittagong, Aurangzeb, being the last great Mughal emperor, of course, defeated the EIC and pardoned them after they paid a heavy fine. This just shows the increasing influence of the EIC within India, because now they decided to go to war with the Mughal emperor in order to establish more forts in another settlement. Then, in 1961, Aurangzeb grants them a farman, which is in ways like a charter, and this farman allows the EIC to trade duty-free in Bengal. This did not sit well with the first Nawab of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, neither did it do so with his successors, because when the EIC was allowed to trade duty-free, increasing its profits, of course, it led to a lot of revenue loss for Bengal, and the increased fortifications were leading to a lot of local disruptions within the area. So, as I have before mentioned, the first Nawab of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, was not at all happy with the increased settlements, fortifications, as well as duty-free trade of the EIC, and it wasn't very surprising when his successor, Siraj-ud-Daulah, then Nawab of Bengal in 1756, was encouraged by the French, who, let me add, were also on shaky grounds with the EIC, and he was encouraged to capture the British presidency in Calcutta. Here he imprisoned many of the British, and he locked them up in the Fort William in Calcutta. And this event went on to be known as the Black Hole of Calcutta, strongly alluding to the place where Siraj-ud-Daulah had imprisoned many of the British. Of course, reinforcements arrived in 1757, led by Robert Clive, who was a very, very able commander who rose from being a clerk in the company to a general. And the EIC did eventually defeat Siraj-ud-Daulah's forces, partly because Siraj-ud-Daulah's forces could not hold on to the presidency for that long, and partly also because Mir Jafar, one of Siraj-ud-Daulah's generals, betrayed him to the EIC. Mir Jafar was promised the role of Nawab of Bengal if he was willing to betray his current leader. And so he did, and of course Mir Jafar was made the Nawab of Bengal. However, a puppet in his rule was satisfied, initially at least, with his betrayal. And Siraj-ud-Daulah was defeated and his forces were rendered ineffective by Robert Clive's British army. And this battle is known as the Battle of Plassey due to the area where it took place in. And so the EIC has won their first battle in India, and now they have hold over Bengal.